Something happened in my office last Tuesday that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. A woman, 68 years young, sharp as a tack, sat right where you are and told me something that sent a chill right through me. She said, "I've met someone, and for the first time in decades, I'm terrified I'm making a colossal mistake." And in that moment, I realized a profound truth about finding love in your later years. This isn't about fairy tales or companionship. It's about navigating a landscape filled with silent risks that almost no one is brave enough to talk about. When you've spent 60 plus years building a life, a home, a sense of self, a new romance doesn't just add to it, it can completely reshape it. And not always for the better. But before we go any further, if you're over 60 or you care about someone who is, please like this video. It tells me this message matters. And if you want more insights to help you navigate this chapter with wisdom, subscribe to Winds of Thought. What I'm sharing today isn't just advice. It could be the difference between a beautiful new beginning and one of the most heartbreaking experiences of your life. And I do not say that lightly. Let's begin. The first, and perhaps most common, peril has a name. It's the trap of mistaking a deep need for connection, for love itself. Listen closely, because this is where so many intelligent people stumble. By the time we reach our 60s, we've often endured significant losses. A partner has passed, a marriage ended, children have built their own lives far from home. The resulting silence can be deafening. It creates an emptiness, a quiet ache. And when someone new arrives, offering attention and warmth, your heart can perform a dangerous trick. It labels the profound relief from that loneliness as love, but it isn't. It's a healing balm for a wounded spirit. In my decades of practice, I've watched brilliant, accomplished individuals walk straight into disastrous partnerships for one simple reason. They couldn't tell the difference between a genuine soulmate and a powerful antidote to their isolation. And here's what makes this so critical later in life. The stakes feel infinitely higher. Time's pressure makes every choice feel final. You tell yourself, "This is my last shot. I can't afford to let it pass." That urgency becomes a blinding force, making you rush past crucial checkpoints. I've witnessed people combine households after 8 weeks, merge bank accounts by month 6, and a year later sit in this very chair, shattered and asking, "How did I not see it?" The hard truth is this: loneliness is a void that needs to be filled with human connection, not necessarily a romantic partner. Fulfillment can come from rediscovering old passions, diving into community work, or nurturing deep, platonic friendships. But when you appoint one person as the sole cure for your solitude, you're not building a relationship, you're building a dependency. And emotional dependency after 60 is a special kind of poison because it so cleverly disguises itself as an open heart. It feels like finding your missing piece, like making the most of the time you have left. But wait, it becomes even more complex. Let's explore the second danger, the tyranny of the ticking clock. When you're 30 and a relationship ends, you have a lifetime of possibilities ahead. You heal, you grow, you move forward. But after 60, a different, more primal voice whispers in your ear. This is it, your final opportunity. If this fails, you will face your final years completely alone. This fear, this deep-seated dread of solitary aging, is one of the most potent manipulators of human judgment that exists. And let's be clear, this fear isn't irrational. It's a very human response to the prospect of aging without a hand to hold. But herein lies the catastrophe. Decisions rooted in fear almost never lead to happiness. Let me share a story about a man named Arthur. 71, a retired architect, lost his wife 5 years ago. His children are spread across the country. He met Clara at a community lecture. She was 67, vibrant, and she brought colour back into his monochrome world. Within a fortnight, they were inseparable. By the end of the month, she was staying over most nights. He proposed after 10 weeks. His children urged caution. "Dad, slow down. Get to know her." And you know what Arthur said? "You have your whole lives ahead. I have maybe 10 good years. I won't spend them being careful." 8 months into the marriage, Arthur discovered Clara had concealed substantial credit card debt she expected him to resolve. Her social life was a whirlwind of expensive dinners funded from his retirement account. But the money wasn't the worst of it. The true torment was the emotional manipulation. If he questioned a purchase, she'd say, "I thought you loved me. Maybe I should just go." Paralyzed by the thought of that empty house, Arthur kept conceding. He surrendered his peace, his autonomy, his savings, and the trust of his children, all driven by a now or never mentality. But here is a fact most people never hear. This time, pressure is largely a mirage. You heard me correctly, a mirage. The belief that your chance for love vanishes after 60 is a story fear tells you. The reality is quite different. People are forming meaningful, deep connections later in life than ever before. With longer life expectancies and new ways to meet people, the possibilities are broader now. But when you operate from a place of scarcity, your judgment warps. In scarcity mode, you accept what you should reject. You tolerate what you should challenge. You explain away glaring red flags. Because a mind gripped by fear believes any companion is better than no companion, and that is a dangerous, corrosive lie. A toxic relationship after 60 doesn't just make you unhappy, it can make you sick. The constant stress of a bad partnership weakens your immune system, elevates blood pressure, and erodes mental well-being. Choosing to be alone is far healthier than choosing to be miserably accompanied. But the risks go deeper still. There is a third, even more delicate danger. We must talk about a subject many consider taboo, but which is absolutely essential for your security: finances and the wealth you've accumulated. Now, before you think this is cynical, understand this is about protection, not pessimism. The simple fact is this: by your 60s, you likely have assets to protect, a home that's finally paid off, a retirement fund you worked 40 years to build, savings you hope to leave for your grandchildren. And it is an unfortunate reality that some individuals specifically seek out partners in this age group for financial gain. Yes, it is that stark. I'm not saying everyone is out to get you. Most people are good, but predators do exist, and they see a target. Why? First, you likely have resources. Second, loneliness can make you more open, more trusting. And third, many from your generation were raised with a default of trust, unlike younger generations bred in an era of digital skepticism. Let me tell you about Eleanor, 69, a retired librarian, a comfortable pension, a lovely, debt-free cottage. She met George at the park. He was 65, chivalrous, well-read. He brought her coffee, remembered her favourite authors, wrote her little notes. Eleanor was overjoyed. After years of quiet solitude, she felt seen again. About 5 months in, George mentioned a temporary setback. A business venture had stalled, debts were piling up, but a solution was just around the corner. Eleanor, feeling cherished, lent him a significant sum. "It's temporary," she told herself. "He'd do the same for me." 2 months later, he needed more to seal the deal. Eleanor, against her better judgment, took out a line of credit on her home. The ending is, by now, predictable. George vanished. Eleanor lost her cottage. At 69, she was forced into a small rental apartment taking on part-time work, facing the quiet disappointment of her family. The most devastating loss wasn't financial, it was the shredding of her self-trust. "I have a master's degree," she wept in my office. "How could I have been so naive?" But Eleanor wasn't naive, she was human. Love and longing are a potent mix for clouded judgment. It creates a powerful desire to believe, to overlook inconsistencies, to justify the unjustifiable. And this is the key. Those who seek to exploit are masters at identifying emotional needs. They know the right words to make someone who felt forgotten feel cherished again. They create a false sense of accelerated intimacy. They start with small requests that escalate into full-blown exploitation. And it's not always about cash. The manipulation can be far more subtle. Perhaps he suggests adding his name to the deed of your house for simplicity. Maybe he tries to convince you to alter your will or to distance you from family and friends under the guise that they don't support our happiness. He might move into your home without sharing costs, use your car, or ask you to co-sign a loan. And the most insidious part? These requests are almost always cloaked in the language of love and partnership. "If you truly loved me. I thought we were a team. Don't you trust me?" So, what's the answer? To live in suspicion? To push everyone away? No, but a prudent level of self-guardianship is non-negotiable. Never entangle your finances until you have known someone for a substantial period. I'd advise at least a full year of stable partnership. Consult with your family or a trusted financial advisor before making any large decisions involving a partner. Maintain separate bank accounts. Protect your assets with legal counsel. If marriage is on the table, a prenuptial agreement is not unromantic. It is profoundly wise. Because here is the ultimate test of real love. Genuine love respects your autonomy and your financial safety. If someone pressures you, makes you feel guilty for protecting what you've built, or uses emotional blackmail, that is not love. That is use. But there's another, quieter danger that few discuss, and it's equally vital: the challenge of merging two fully written life stories. This is barely a concern at 20, but at 60, it can be a mountain. Both of you arrive with decades of experiences, scars, ingrained habits, and solidified worldviews. You are not blank slates. You are entire libraries, filled with complex, detailed volumes. Some chapters are joyful, others are tragic, but all of them have shaped the person you see in the mirror. And when two complete libraries try to become one, friction is not just possible, it's guaranteed. Let this sink in. At 60, your life is a collection of set rhythms. You wake at a certain hour. You have a specific morning routine. Your weekends have a familiar flow. You have adult children whose lives are woven into yours. Perhaps grandchildren you see regularly. You have friendships that have lasted half a century. You hold deep-seated beliefs about politics, morality, and life itself. You have your own way of managing money, keeping your home, and planning holidays. Now, a new person enters this established ecosystem. It is a monumental adjustment, not because love is impossible, but because reconciling two entire worlds is far more complex than it is for two young people just starting out. It demands immense patience, self-awareness, and the ability to compromise without self-erasure. What was a minor preference at 20 becomes a major point of contention at 60. Let's consider Henry and Beatrice. He, 70, widowed. She, 68, divorced. They met in a gardening club. It was a lovely, late-blooming romance. They decided to move in together. The first few months were blissful. Then, the subtle clashes began. Henry was an early bird, in bed by 9. Beatrice was a night owl, reading until midnight. Henry was meticulously tidy. Beatrice was creatively messy. But the real tensions were deeper. Henry's daughter and her family visited every Sunday for lunch, a non-negotiable tradition. Beatrice felt it invaded their only full day together. Beatrice met her college friends for dinner every Tuesday, which Henry interpreted as her not wanting to be with him. And then the most volatile topic. He was quite traditional in his views. She was decidedly progressive. They'd tiptoe around it, but soon, even casual news commentary could spark a argument. What unfolded? Both tried to remodel the other. Henry wanted Beatrice to adopt his schedule. Beatrice wanted Henry to loosen up. But neither would yield, each thinking, I'm too old to change who I am. And this is the central dilemma of love after 60. You need flexibility the most at the very time in life when you possess it the least. It's not just stubbornness. Neurologically, your brain's patterns are well worn. Your identity is solid. Your habits are deeply grooved. Change requires a conscious, sustained effort that many are either unwilling or unable to make at this stage. So, the quiet resentment builds. They start comparing this new, complicated life to the peaceful solitude they once had. What began as affection slowly curdles into a constant, low-grade tension. I've known couples who developed actual physical symptoms from this stress, anxiety, sleeplessness, digestive issues. The strain of forcing two complete lives into one without the right tools or willingness is immense. And here is a liberating idea that isn't discussed enough. You don't have to live under the same roof. Yes, you heard me. In the modern world, it is entirely possible to have a committed, profound relationship after 60 while maintaining separate homes. It's called living apart together. You live separately, but you are emotionally devoted. You both keep your space, your independence, your cherished routines. You come together for quality time, share what's important, and then return to your own sanctuaries. And for many people in this chapter of life, this model is ideal. It preserves the romance, minimizes daily friction, and honors your hard-won individuality. Society often insists that true commitment means sharing a home, that living separately is a half measure. That is a myth. It's simply an outdated social script. True connection is measured by mutual respect, emotional support, and presence, not by a shared mortgage. But there is an even more sensitive subject, and it represents one of the greatest emotional risks: intimacy and sexuality in later life, and how it can become a dangerous anchor. We must speak frankly about something our culture often ignores. People over 60 are still sensual beings. The need for physical closeness, for touch, for feeling desired, does not simply switch off. It evolves, but it remains. And if you've spent years, maybe even decades, without that kind of intimacy, re-entering that space can feel overwhelmingly intense. This is where a critical danger hides. You can mistake the powerful surge of physical connection for a deep spiritual love. Let me be clear. If you've been alone for a long time, if the memory of touch has started to fade, and suddenly someone holds you, looks at you with desire, makes you feel attractive again, your brain is hit with a wave of neurochemicals. Oxytocin, dopamine, the very chemistry of bonding. And this biochemical cascade can convince you that you've found your destiny. In reality, it's often the powerful release of a fundamental human need that's been dormant for too long. I've heard it so many times. I've never felt anything like this. It has to be real. And I gently ask, how can you be sure it's love and not just the profound relief of intimacy after a long famine? Discerning the difference is everything. Because when you make life-altering choices, moving in, marrying, merging finances, based primarily on the power of a physical bond, you are building your house on sand. Physical intimacy is a beautiful, essential part of being human, but it is not a foundation. And after 60, confusing, intense attraction for lasting love can bind you to people who are emotionally or ethically all wrong for you. There's another layer to this that's rarely discussed: the performance pressure. Yes, after 60, bodies change. It's natural. Yet, many feel a new anxiety to perform, to not disappoint, to prove they are still desirable. This pressure can lead people to accept treatment they would have never tolerated in their youth. I've known women who endure a lack of respect because they think, "At least I feel wanted." I've known men who remain in clearly damaging relationships because they say, "She makes me feel young." Physical closeness can become a gilded cage, comforting, affirming, but dangerously confining, a trap that keeps you locked in a partnership that offers little else for your soul. But here is an empowering truth. You deserve a relationship where all the pieces fit: respect, conversation, emotional safety, shared values, and yes, physical joy. You should not have to choose between love and desire. You should not have to settle for "at least someone touches me." You are worthy of a complete, honest, and balanced connection. Because if you accept less, you are not only denying yourself a healthy partnership, you are also shutting the door on a love that truly uplifts and fulfills you. But there is one final, deeply painful peril, the sixth and last point: the catastrophic impact a wrong relationship can have on your family and the legacy you leave behind. After 60, you are not an island. You are the center of a web of relationships that has been woven over a lifetime. Children, grandchildren, siblings, lifelong friends. And when you introduce a new partner into this network, too quickly or without care, the repercussions can be devastating. I have watched families fracture because of a late life romance. Children who cut ties, feeling a stranger has taken their parent's mind. Grandchildren who lose their grandparent. Inheritances redirected. Family rituals that disintegrate because the new partner has different ideas. The most tragic part? Many of these ruptures never heal. Consider the story of Robert, 72, a father of 2, a grandfather of 4, lost his wife 6 years prior. He met Diane and fell hard. When his children expressed concern, asking him to pause, he accused them of jealousy. Diane expertly fueled this division. "They just want your money. I'm the one who truly cares." Blinded by passion, Robert pulled away from his family. He revised his will, stopped hosting holiday dinners, and slowly lost the very support system that had sustained him. 3 years later, the relationship imploded. Diane was gone, along with a large portion of his savings. When Robert reached out to his children, the damage was done. The wounds were too deep. Only one of his 3 children reconnected. The other 2 never spoke to him again. Robert passed away 2 years later, largely alone. That is the true cost of an impulsive decision after 60. It's not just about your happiness. It's about the emotional inheritance of your entire life. Think about that. You've built these bonds for 50, 60 years. You've been there for Christmases, graduations, weddings. You've cradled your grandchildren. You've created a history. And it can all be undone in a matter of months by one ill-considered relationship. Yes, it can. And you must understand something. Your adult children's concern usually comes from a place of love, not control. They see red flags that you, in the glow of new affection, are colorblind to. I often hear, "My children don't want me to be happy." In almost every case, That is false. They don't want to see you hurt, used, or manipulated. They don't want to stand by while someone who just arrived dismantles the life you built together over 50 years. This does not mean your children get to choose your partner. Your autonomy is paramount, but it does mean you should lend them your ear. Listen without becoming defensive. Consider their perspective. Sometimes, an outside view offers a clarity that love's intoxication obscures. Let me show you what a healthy path looks like. Margaret, 70, met David. Her family was wary at first, but she listened. She introduced David gradually, without forcing him into the family. She maintained her own traditions and financial independence. David respected this. He didn't push, didn't try to isolate her, didn't create divisions. Over 2 years, he earned their trust organically. Margaret's family eventually embraced him because they saw his love added to her life. It didn't subtract from it. That is the balance. You can have a new love and preserve your family ties. It is not an either-or choice. But if your new partner demands you choose, drives a wedge between you and your loved ones, or turns you against them, that is not a red flag, it's a 5-alarm fire. Genuine love does not isolate. Genuine love integrates. It understands that your family is part of your fabric. Anyone who asks you to sever your past is not seeking a partnership, they are seeking control. And isolation is the first tool of an abuser. I want to leave you with this final thought. Your legacy isn't counted in dollars or property. Your legacy is etched in the memories you create, the relationships you nurture, the way your family will speak of you when you're gone. How do you want to be remembered? As someone who spent their golden years in a relationship of mutual respect and joy? Or as someone who lost it all for a love that was never real? The choice you make today writes the story they will tell tomorrow. So, what's the conclusion? Should you avoid love after 60? Should you resign yourself to solitude? Absolutely not. Love in this chapter can be the most beautiful, mature, and authentic experience of your life. Many tell me the connection they found later was the deepest and most peaceful they've ever known. That makes perfect sense. At this age, you know yourself. You know your non-negotiables. You're done with games. You seek true companionship, meaningful conversation, someone to share the sunset years with. All of that is possible. All of that is precious. But it requires awareness, patience, and a deep respect for the life you've already built. Don't leap blindly. Don't succumb to the pressure of a ticking clock. Don't mistake loneliness for love. Don't sacrifice your hard-won independence, your financial security, or your family on the altar of a new flame. Because after all my years working with people in this stage of life, I've learned one undeniable truth. Temporary solitude is infinitely better than permanent, miserable companionship. Being alone is not the worst-case scenario. The worst-case scenario is being trapped with someone who manipulates you, isolates you, controls you, or takes from you. That is the true nightmare. Because the love you truly deserve, after 6 decades of life, is a love that respects you, a love that is patient, a love that protects you and enriches your world, never diminishes it. If someone truly loves you, they will give you the time you need to feel secure. They will honor your pace. They will admire what you've built, and they will weave themselves into your life without unraveling its threads. They will want to know your family, understanding there is a long, rich history that predates them. They will never, ever make you choose between your past and your future. And if they are unwilling to do these things, they do not love you, they need you, or worse, they are using you. Ask yourself these crucial questions. Does this new relationship make me feel more free or more confined? Does it bring me closer to my family or pull me away? Does it celebrate my independence or constantly challenge it? Does this person applaud my life's work or try to control it? Your honest answers will tell you everything you need to know. So yes, by all means, open your heart to love after 60. Be brave enough to welcome closeness again. You deserve this chance at happiness. But never, ever forget this final, profound danger: the destructive ripple effect a poorly chosen partner can have on your family and your life's work. After 60, you are a crucial part of an intricate emotional network. Children, grandchildren, siblings, friends who have stood by you for half a century. Bringing a new person into this web too hastily can have consequences that echo for generations. I have seen families splinter. I have seen bonds between parents and children severed forever. That is why it is essential that any new love enters your life with grace, with mindfulness, and with deep respect for the world you have already created. A person who genuinely cares for you will not ask you to cut the ties that have sustained you. On the contrary, they will strive to become a part of that whole, to understand your relationships, your rhythms, your priorities. True love doesn't arrive like a hurricane, destroying everything in its path. It arrives like a gentle rain, nourishing the garden that is already there. The simple, powerful truth is this: after 60, your love is not yours alone. It touches everyone who is part of your story. That gives you a double responsibility: to fiercely protect your own well-being, your values, your boundaries, and to safeguard the emotional world your family has inhabited for decades. Love must be a bridge, not a wall. It must be a source of peace, not conflict. Anyone who enters your life must understand this, respect it, and demonstrate it through their actions, not just their words. In the end, remember this: the right love in your later years isn't the one that arrives with dazzling fireworks and grand promises. It's the one that brings you a deep, abiding calm. It's the love that respects you, that adds to your life without taking anything away. It's the love that doesn't pull you apart, but draws everything together. If a person can offer you safety, peace, and genuine joy without threatening the core of who you are, then they are worthy of your time, your affection, and your heart. And only then does it become beautifully clear that love after 60 isn't just possible, it can be the most grounded, gentle, and wise love you will ever know. If this resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to Winds of Thought for more insights that matter.